Good morning. This is again I'd King. Today I'm gonna make this video to answer one of the question I got from one of our viewer concerning the data, the filter grid view using text box and button. And this video I will show how to filter the grid view using multiple text box by clicking up a button. You click the button, you can fill all the text box or fill some of the text box and be able to review what you are looking for from the database. All right, so let's get started. Fire up Visual Studio. I already have a web page which I developed to kind of show that. If you run this web page, you'll see it already have the design on it with three text boxes, the three text boxes and a button. Now if you click the button or you type anything, for example, let's say copy John Doe, and I put it there and filter it, it will not do anything because there's no code yet under it. But we'll go on that. I'll show you what to do. Alright, so right now we have some data in the database. Just to show, we have some data in the database. That's our database, and okay, I have to switch it to the specific database called database video DB. You know, just this was created just for this video specifically. So we have about 5 rows of data in the database, and this data here, we will filter it to kind of get the information or to show what I'm about to show. All right. So now, by going back to Visual Studio, here in the backend of the code, you can see so far so good. I have a query that pulls the data from the database to display it in the grid view. This part, since this video is to show how to filter the data using multiple text box, so this part I've already write it, so you know, to make sure I save time on the video. So let's begin. You know, I'll begin by creating a private void. Uh, and let me call this filter grid. All right. So inside this section, we're going to write the SQL code for that for filtering the grid view. All right. Let me say string QOI. It's gonna be for my query equal. All right. So in that string, I'm gonna copy this code here. I'm gonna copy this code here. Alright, so and I'm gonna do a plus where. That's where it's is a string I created. You see, there's a string here called where, and this string, this where, is going to hold the where clause that's going to be passed. Instead of having to hard code the where clause, which only allow you to filter based on what you have hard coded, then I pass a string, and that string you can modify the string on the fly. All right. So now with this, when the button is pressed, then whatever passed through that where clause will be the where clause to filter the data. All right. So to actually do that, I have to copy this section here, put it under my button click, and when the button click is clicked, then it will filter it. So let's continue. First of us, I'm going to open the connection. See, open. Oh, sorry. Open connection. And I'm also going to close the connection. So in between this section here, between the open and close connection, I'm going to write my my ADO.NET code to actually reach to the database to be able to filter the data. All right. Gonna use data adapter. and you use it 80 equal to new SQL data adapter. Okay, and then I'm gonna pass my QOY, which is the query, which is this part. This is where the query will be held. So I have to pass this. All right. So with this now, this is uh, the part that will run the query. All right. So with that being said, I have to field the data. Field DS. All right. So oops, come on. DS. Field DS. Something is happening. All right. So first, I collect the data from the database using this, and I will fill the data set with it. So before that, I'll have to create a data set. Um, uh, Data set ds equal new data set. Alright, so you create a data set. First, you select the data from the database, pass it and put it into a data set. To put it into the data set, you fill the data set using the data returned from the data adapter. So the data adapter returned data, then you fill the data set with it. So now this DS is the data set. So the data set it called DS. So I fill the data set with the data. So once the data set is filled, then now I can pass the data into the grid view. Then I'll call it the grid view called GV result. Then I'm gonna call the data source. The data source for it will equal to the DS, which is the data set, which have been filled, and then we're gonna bind the data into the data set, into the grid view. All right. So we bind the data into the grid view, and then the data we close the connection. So now this is let me see, something has been gone wrong. Let me see, gv dot data set. Right, okay, ad dot field ds gv result that data source equal ds gv result that data bind I miss my open and close parent data bind. Okay, so now once I have that, this part right now is what gonna filter the data. Is what gonna pass the data into the grid view. So that will pass the data to the grid view, to the data grid view, and be able to filter it. But we're still not done yet. So now to begin, we have to check those checkbox using if statement to see what text box has data and what is null. So now we're gonna do a check on name first. Let's do the name first. If the text box name not equal blank, or if it's not empty, and the text box description is not empty, okay, is not empty, and the text box town is also not empty, then we want to do something with the data. We want to filter based on all these requirements. Okay, let me see something. I have a star here. All right, so we want to be able to filter based on all those requirements. If none of them are empty or blank, then we want to filter the data with all the requirements. So to do that, we're gonna use the where, which is the string is going to equal where, and we will pass the field name equal single quote double quote plus txt name, which is the text box that text. All right, plus double quote single quote. All right, and we are also filtering based on the description. and description equal single quote double quote plus txt description dot text and plus double quote single quote and txt not txt but town instead equal single quote double quote plus we're gonna do txt town dot text, okay, plus single quote double quote, I mean basically double quote single quote and double quote, and we're going to close that. So now with this piece we are able to filter all filter the data based on all these requirements, based on the text, box name, the description, and town. Let's see if that first part works before we move forward. All right. So now let me run the application. All right. So now the application is running. Um, on page load, you have everything, right? On page load, you have everything. But now let's filter based on these three requirements. We have John Doe. John Doe is a help desk, and from Chicago. And if I press this, I should get only the data for John Doe in Chicago. Okay, with all the requirement. It's a little slow, but we'll wait and see what happens. Okay, something went wrong. All right. Okay, encode syntax need equal. Which one of them? I gotta flip. All right. So txt not equal blank, not equal blank, not equal blank. Where name equals single quote double quote plus that, and description equals single quote double quote plus that, and town equals single quote double quote plus that. Okay, I think here we have a connection. Alright, so we will rerun this again and see what happened. Alright, so far so good. Let me close that out. We have John Doe and help desk and from Chicago. There you go. So that's worked perfectly with this first level. So that means right now we can filter with all of them. But in the same token, we want to be able to filter with different. Like let's say I only have John Doe. I don't know what the description. I don't know the hometown. I want to be able to click and still be able to filter with John Doe only without having to pass anything else. So now let's see how to do that. To do that, you're gonna have to add another piece of the if statement. So now I'm gonna say else if txt name. I'll choose a txt name that text equal, I'll say not equal, instead of equal, not equal, um, blank, um, and all these other one are actually blank. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna rewrite a where, and I'm gonna tell where equal where again. That will be name. Uh, double quote where name equal single quote double quote plus txt name that text plus double quote single quote double quote, and let's close this. pretty much with this. So now, in that case, we're telling it if the name text box is not empty and this text box is equal nothing or null or blank, and that text box also equal nothing, then I want to filter based on that text box only. So now let's see if that works. We go back here, and if I press John Doe now, before it didn't filter. Now if I press it, it should filter it. I'll taking a little time, but we're hanging there. Alright, so it seems like we have been disconnected. So we have to rerun this process again so we can get it. Alright. Mm. Seems like I have to upgrade my computer. It's very slow, but we'll hang in there, and we should get what we need. Alright, so let's try Jondo again. And there we go. We'll be able to filter with Jondo only. Just by passing Jondo, then we'll be able to filter. So now if I remove Jondo and push the search button again, should refresh. Now let me pass John Smith. Smith, and there it is. It filtered with John Smith. So now we want to be able to do the same for the rest of the text box. So we have to continue adding else if until we get everything going. So now we're gonna do description. Let's say if the description is not equal null, gonna do and not is not equal null, and these two text box I said and txt name and town, txt name and town actually equal null, uh, equal, so equal blank. All right. So now if the description is not equal blank, but the hometown and the text and the name equal blank, then we want to be able to filter just with the description. So now we're gonna do the where again, where equal double quote and where again description, which is here, equal single quote double quote plus and the text box of the description, that text plus double quote single quote and double quote and with semicolon to end the connection, to end the line. All right, so now let's try to see if description also work. So now we run with John Smith, uh, and it works with the first name. Now let's see if we run with just the description, if it works. And yes, of course, it works. So now we can filter with the name itself or the description itself. And now we're gonna do hometown. All right, let's do hometown. And it's the same process. It's just an else if, and that will continue with all of them until you get it all. Else if I was said uh, this one, which is hometown, not equal blank, and um, and the name, all right, and the name. So I'm a little slow on that. And the name equal blank as well as description. Then we want to be able to filter just with we want to be able to filter just with the hometown, just with the hometown. So now we're gonna do the same for that. Where equal where inside double quote, where equal where hometown. Copy this and paste it here. Equal single quote, double quote with a plus to be able to capture the text box. That text, and you do a plus double quote, single quote, and double quote, and semicolon to end the line. So now with this, we will be able to filter the same data using the hometown. So let's say you know the hometown of the person you're looking for, and you don't know anything else, and you can just pass the hometown, and you'll be able to bring that person. So filter everybody so I can get someone. All right, so let me pass New York. New York. All right, so using New York, I should be able to get everybody New York, which is Marco Polo. All right, so um, and if I pass someone else, let's say Miami, Miami, and anybody that is in Miami should appear. So now you can see there's three people in Miami, and that's how you get it. So now let's say you want to filter with two text box. Now, how do you do that? So you wanna do the same thing, but the same thing as you did in the beginning, but with the two text box as you know as you wanted. So you would have to continue doing it for every two text box until you complete it. So now let's start with just one of them. I'll just add one of them since I might not have all this time to show. That should be easy for anyone who's trying to add the rest of them. You know. Else, if now text box, or let's say now I want to say that if the first name, if the name and the description are not null, if name and description are not null, and the other one is null, then we want to filter based on that, based on the name and description. All right, so now if the name and the description are not null or blank, and the hometown is blank, we want to be able to filter based on the name and the description only. All right, so now we're gonna do a where equal double quote where again name name equal single quote double quote txt name dot text and plus double quote single quote, and we want to do description, and description equal single quote double quote plus to get the text box txt description dot text plus double quote single quote double quote, and then we end that connection that line text. Let me see what happened here. I missed the plus sign, and here. All right, so now we will be able to filter based on description, the name and the description without hometown, because it's going to check the name and check the description. If both of them have a value, then the hometown is empty or clear, then it's going to filter based on that. Let's test it, and that'll be the end of the video. All right, and anything else you wanna, you can add everything as much as you want. You know, you can add description and hometown, or hometown and name, or name, or you know, just vice versa. So you can add as many as you want to filter, as long as you know what your user going to need to filter the data. So you just do as much as you want until you complete the whole set. So with that, you can see it. with this, you'll be able to, you have the flexibility to filter as many text box as you want, whether it's one text box, two text box, or the whole thing. So it's, based on your user, what they want to, what they are looking for, then they can filter that way. Now let's refresh the page, and I will pass, let's say I pass John Doe, what was John Doe's help desk, okay? So now hometown is empty. Let's see if we're gonna be able to filter that. There it is. So now we'll be able to get John Doe just by knowing John Doe, and we know where, well, I mean, what his description is. Then we can type the description and be able to get it. Now, if we refreshed again, to try another one, let's try John Smith, or let's try Peter Smith. Peter Smith, and his description is kind of private investigation or investigator. All right, so we can look for it that way. There you go, Peter Smith, private investigator. So with that out said, thank you for watching the video. And if you have any question, leave me a message. All right, just leave me a comment, and also give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Thank you very much, and I appreciate it.